with you today. Do you want to just kind of introduce yourself and maybe your story about Archie? I know, did you guys adopt him from the shelter? Maybe why you picked him out?
Yeah. So I'm Brooke, and I don't know. So Archie was adopted by us in 2021 in January. We saw his photo just on Facebook, and we were kind of looking for a dog, but not like hardcore looking.
Mhm.
We were planning on starting our family. We'd had a miscarriage the year before, and we had tried a puppy and it just didn't fit. And we were like, well, we just don't really want to have to train a dog, maybe like, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
We wanted to train them, obviously, but we wanted to not have to do potty training and things like
Yeah.
that. So we're like, oh, well, let's do rescue. And I saw his photo on Facebook, and we're like, he is adorable. He's the
Mhm. He is.
cutest dog in the world. We're like, we have to go meet him. And we weren't doing anything, so we just kind of went to look at him.
Mhm.
He was very well mannered at the meeting of him, and we put in an application. They're like, oh, you're number 4 on the application.
Okay.
You're probably not gonna get him. And then so we just kind of left it at that, and 2 weeks go by and they call us and they're like, hey, Archie, or well, his name was Scooter at the time, but and like, he's ready. We're like, what? And so we just went over, we picked him up that day. Basically we went right over to PetSmart and got a bunch of stuff. And very quickly we learned that he has had no leash manners. And he was very, very excitable.
Okay. What made you change his name to Archie? Did you just love it, or was he just
Yeah, we're kind of like a theme. We really like themes. And so
awesome?
our cat's name is Orion. It's like the constellation Orion's belt. And Archie is actually the name of one of the moons of Jupiter.
Oh, cool. I love that.
We spell it differently too. It's just ARCHE, not IE. And so
Okay. I love that. I love finding out why people name their dogs what they do. So how awesome. So you found out that he didn't have any leash manners and that he was really, really overexcited. Did you run into some issues with that made you go, we need training now? Or was it kind of just like, oh, that's annoying, and then something happened? Or why were you looking for training?
So when we were going to get a dog, we were like, we need to do training no matter what, because we, being where we're from, know kind of the manners of a lot of dogs in the area, and so we wanted to make sure we weren't perpetuating
Mhm.
that stigma. And as well, I grew up with a dog that always ran away. My husband had a dog that wasn't very well mannered, and we always had issues, and we knew that we were going to be, like I said, starting our family, and we wanted to
Mhm.
make sure we had a dog that we could tell to go to his crate if we needed him to get out of the room, or that our child could hold the leash if he wanted to and not be pulled down.
Mhm.
And that was really important to us. And so what kind of jump started it to move faster was one day I was taking Archie out to use the restroom, and I remember I was just holding onto his leash, and I looked away for a second, and I looked back, and there was like I think it was a snow plow, and he darted after it full force. He thought it was, I don't know, like he thought maybe he was afraid of it. Maybe he thought it was going to hurt us. I'm not exactly sure what it was,
Mhm.
but he thought it was something that he should chase. And he pulled me flat down. I like fell into the snow. Like it was terrifying because he was running
Uh-huh.
towards the road, and this really big machine vehicle, and I wasn't strong enough to keep him, from running after it. And I'm like, that's not going to work for us, especially because we were planning on getting pregnant, and I
Yeah. Mhm.
didn't want to be pushed down while pregnant or while
Yeah.
I was a kid.
Yeah, absolutely. So you started looking for training programs. Was there one reason why, or was there a reason why you chose us over someone else?
Um,
I know I messaged you and we were chatting back and forth a little bit. Um, but what was your experience as far as trying to find a trainer?
yeah, so I think the biggest things that made us go towards you was, um, one, the off leash was very enticing. And to me, the off leash was like, oh, that means well mannered, or that means like that they'll listen, because you can't have an off leash and not listen at the same time. That just doesn't work.
Hmm.
So that was very enticing for us. And then also all of the perks that you guys have. Because right around the time that we were looking for all of this, the stimulus thing came out, and you have that package where you could do the one-on-one training and the classes for the dog's whole lifespan, and like, we can text you and all that kind of stuff. And being able to just kind of for better words, have you in our back pocket at all times
Hmm.
is just so amazing. um and I've definitely really appreciated that. And just you're close by. It was definitely, location was a really big thing for us too.
Hmm. Um, so what I like to kind of ask, well, I like to kind of go from there and just ask. It's a hard program. I mean, everyone I talk to, I make sure I let them know, like, this is a time intensive program. It's 2 months. It's worth all the time you put in it. But what was your hardest moment during the program? I remember you came in. Do we have bunnies the first session that you came in, or was it like 2 or 3 sessions in? Because I remember he was so intense with those bunnies. But I can't remember if we got them in the middle.
I think we got them in the middle.
Okay.
um yeah, definitely that. When we've started doing the off, like the lead, anything with the lead, when he realized he wasn't on like an actual leash, he was definitely a lot more, a little harder. He
Hmm.
picked up a lot of things really quickly, and he is a smart dog, and honestly, we don't deserve him. But there, that impulse, he's just doesn't have great impulse. And yeah, the impulse control, yeah, he doesn't have great impulse control. And I think that was probably the hardest part, was when we started bringing in things like throwing the ball in front of him while we're doing a heel, or the bunnies or other dogs, especially for him.
Hmm. Yeah, so that those are hard for lots and lots and lots of dogs, that impulse control work. Do you feel like the distractions we brought in helped build some impulse control for him?
Oh yeah.
um
Yeah,
okay.
I really liked, because we would, do it at your home, and so we would go and walk by the dogs that are on your street, or I think you had like goats and horses, and he was really unsure about goats and horses. They definitely freaked him out, but he really wanted to see what the goats were. And um being able to get him on a couple of those things, and to have those distractions were definitely helpful.
Awesome. So what surprised you or made you most happy with our obedience program, or what was the best moment within the whole obedience program?
I think the best moment was when he my favorite moment was when, um at your home, you have the big
Hmm.
circle, and we would stand on one side of the driveway, or the whatever, and the cul-de-sac, and then one of us would go on the other side, and we would turn him back and forth across this large distance, and he would just zoom back and forth to us. And I loved that. It was, one, it was really fun, and two, is just kind of like he's getting it. It was that
Hmm.
moment of, he wasn't distracted. There was horses, and there was other dogs barking, and there was all that stuff, and you were making noise, but he would just pay attention to us. And that was really great moment, because I knew that at that moment that he would, always choose us over some other distraction, because he knows that, we are the ones that he needs to come to.
Mhm. Awesome. I love that. I loved working with you guys. You always brought in this just like this fun energy, and it was I loved doing the one-on-one training with you, and you guys just worked so hard with Archie. So hard with him. He is lucky to have you. I know you said you don't deserve him, but you guys, like, you became a really beautiful team together, and so he is lucky to have someone that fought so hard and worked really hard to build that bond and to give him the ability to have more freedom. Because I know you've done a lot of fun stuff with him, and I've seen videos you've sent where you're recalling him off of exciting things, and it's just, I don't know, it's always fun to kind of see the dogs move um, further and further through from the program, because at the very beginning you're just like building that foundation, but it's so fun to see, a year later where you guys are. It's, well, I guess a couple years later now, isn't it? I don't know.
I think,
It's been a while.
because
It's
we're doing
almost
the
2
second
years.
year. One thing that I just thought of, that I just really appreciate, I find a lot of trainers, they'll like take the dog, and they'll teach them, and then they just give them back to the owners without having taught the owners. And that's something that I really appreciate about you, is we did it together, and most of the training sessions that we did was just us doing it in preparation for our homework. And at first I hadn't like thought that that's what was going to happen, but I was really grateful that that's what happened, because we were able to learn how to train him, and then we were able to implement that with other things that we wanted to do. Like, we don't let him into the kitchen because we don't like him to eat off the floor, or get in the baby's face while he's eating. And so, because we were able to learn how to train him, we're able to train him to do other things in our home without having to, look up another YouTube video, or, do other things. We already know how to do it because you taught us and showed us what to do. And I really definitely appreciated that.
Oh, awesome. I'm glad. I tell people, they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a dog trainer, but actually I really am just a people trainer. And that's my job.
Yeah.
I train the people to train their dogs because they live with them, not me. So I get how hard it is to train a dog because I've trained my dogs. But yeah, I love that. I am a people trainer, and it's awesome once you get that foundation of how to teach a dog something, you can apply it to so many different applications. One of my favorite things that you told me was you taught him to go in and out of your doorways on a queue, because there's people in the apartment complex that you were living in. You'd open the doors because it was so hot, and you just have random dogs walk in. And I loved your story about how Archie would go sit outside of thresholds, like the doors. Do you want to tell that story, or kind of that experience that you had? I can't tell it as well as you can, but I love that story that you were telling me. I think it was really near the end, and you were just telling me that Archie would go sit outside of people's doors instead of just
Yeah.
running in.
Yeah. So I think what it was is that we would stop in front of our door, and every time we'd just go, we'd have to say inside, inside, inside. And so we do that at anywhere we would go, and then outside, outside, outside. And eventually we would try to go in our door, but then he wouldn't go in until we said inside. And so that was really quite funny.
Yeah. Oh, he's such a sweet boy. I remember just like I don't know, he was like golden retriever to me, and maybe like healer, but he was just
Yeah.
like the cutest little like healer color golden retriever, just happy go lucky and floofy, and just he was so fun to work with. I really appreciate having the opportunity to work with you guys. So Now that you're done with, I mean, I should never truly done. You're living in the maintenance mode where you are following through. But what's life like now that you've finished the program with him?
So since we finished, a lot has happened in our lives. We had a baby, um, and he's actually going to be a year in like,
Oh my goodness.
I'm so excited.
So exciting.
But so when we first had our son, things were really rough because he was in the NICU for 3 weeks.
Okay.
And my mom was here at our home. And after being able, like, because he had been, trained for a year at that point, she knew what to do we showed her and things like that. And it made it really easy for her to pick up how to take him outside. And because he was trained, she didn't have to do a whole lot in respects to taking care of him because he was already ready and good,
Mhm.
which was a huge relief. And then when we did bring the baby home, we were able to give commands like, back up, give the baby some space, sit, all those kinds of like the basics, to make it so that it wasn't so overwhelming for him. And that, we were able to give everyone space, and he wasn't jumping up on us and jumping up on the baby and pulling us down. And then even, 2 years later, my, son, he's learning to walk. And so, we can tell the dog to move out of the way, and we can go on walks at the park, and he can run around, and we can push our baby on the swing and call Archie back whenever, if he's getting too close to someone or if he's bothering something, and we can just kind of let him do his thing. And that's really, really nice too. And just not having to worry about what he is doing while also trying to worry about our child.
Mhm.
And so that's really, really, really nice.
Awesome. Um, Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it so much. Was it worth all the time and effort that you put into the training?
Oh yeah. That's the biggest thing is the training isn't worth it unless you put your time into it. I think, for me, because if
Mhm.
we didn't do our homework, if we didn't do what we needed to, and if we don't keep up on it, he's a dog. He's gonna push the boundaries. He's gonna do what he wants. And so every once in a while we'll take him out, and we'll come back in, and I'll look at my husband like, we need to go do some sneakaways, or we need to go do this, so that we can get him back up to it if we've slacked. And but because you taught us how to do it, we can do it ourselves.